on this episode of the Sorority Chat podcast.
You know what you want, chase it. Like, it doesn't matter what, like, other people in your life are telling you should do. This, again, ties back to my episode. But, like, you know what you want, and you have this talent. Just, like, chase it. The noise doesn't matter.
That's really good. I think, like trusting your gut. Like I would tell her, like, just follow your intuition. Like, you know, if something feels wrong, then it is wrong. Get out of it. Like, if something feels right, then keep doing more. Chase that, like you said, and just kind of not worry so much about what it's going to look like, what's going to happen if I fail. Just go for it and then learn from it and go on to the next thing.
Hey y'all, and welcome to Sorority Chat. I'm Liz Alexander, a designer and sorority alum who's obsessed with all things Greek life. My mission? To bring you real conversations, smart insights, and fun stories that help make sorority living even better. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfy, and let's chat. Hey sorority chatters. Thanks for joining us for this week's episode. It's a little bit different today as I have two guests, and they happen to be two of my favorite people. We've got Caroline and Erica from our team at PDR Interiors. And between the three of us, we have experienced sorority life from a few different angles. Caroline and I were both in sororities in college. Erica was not, but she has worked closely with sorority women for the last 10 plus years now. And she has seen leadership and confidence play out in real time across campuses through that work. And today we're going to talk about something I think so many college women feel but don't always name. And that's the pressure to be aesthetic, the pressure to lead perfectly, and how confidence actually grows over time. We're going to talk about design trends that we hope never return, but also how personal style evolves and how leadership really develops in college, along with what confidence actually looks like from where we sit. All right, ladies, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
Yes, always fun to have an official conversation on the books. So let's kick it off light, I'll say. What's one design trend you hope never to see again in a sorority house, Erica?
So I have a funny one. I don't know if you could really call it a design trend, but it's actually still hanging around in sorority houses to this day. We have never put any of this in, and we never would. And I don't want to trigger anyone by saying this because it's common and it's out there. The strands of fake ivy that we see around. I'm like, you can't even call it a design trend. It's not design, but it's a trend because it has swept the nation. And we see it in the girls' bedrooms, which do your own thing. If that, is something that you might like, sure. But it creeps into the common spaces sometimes. They use it for recruitment, and it just does not look good. It looks very cheap, and there's just so many other alternatives. And that's one thing that I would love to go away forever, the fake strands of ivy.
Okay, that was on my list too, and I'm
like, is this out of left field?
No, it's a dust catcher for sure. What about you, Caroline?
The boxwood wall. Everywhere has a boxwood wall. Same thing. Dust catcher. They are never like perfectly square. They're always a little wonky.
Yeah.
And they have their moment. They had their moment. And I think maybe for recruitment, if you want a photo situation, put it up, but take it down.
Exactly.
Take it down and put your art back up that I selected for you.
I think that brings up a good point. Most of the time, this stuff is used as like event decor, and then it just sort of lives there forever because nobody really takes ownership on removing it. But yes, these are not long-term design decisions to put in your spaces.
Yeah. A rogue string light could also fit into this category. That's like not plugged in. It probably doesn't work.
We end up finding a lot of Scotch tape on the walls.
I was going to say the way that these things are hung is the problem. Like, it's the Scotch tape everywhere, the command strips, the tacks, little things like that they don't think about when they're being put up. That's going to still be there in your nice, beautiful, formal living room if you don't take the time to remove it all. So yeah, those things just grind my gears.
Do you think that design trends happen because women actually love them, or because they feel like they're supposed to like lean into it and have it in the space?
I think with things like that, it just kind of takes over and they see it, whether it's on social media or at other houses, and they're like, okay, this is what we do. Maybe they're not so inspired by it to put it up themselves. It's just like becomes a standard on accident. I feel like it's just one of those things that then it just sticks around, and then it's a go-to, kind of like, the bad fake dollar store flowers of years past that they would have in the middle of the table. It's just stuff like that it's really better. It would be better empty than that. Don't waste the time and energy and money on those things that are just going to make anything that is going to cheapen the space would be something to steer clear of, in my opinion.
I agree. I think it's a crutch a lot of times. Like we don't have another good idea. So instead of just leaving it alone, let's pop up some fake ivy.
It reminds me of like back in the 90s when everyone had fake ivy on their kitchen counter or cabinet tops. Again, the dust collecting, it is triggering for me. But the other two things that came to mind as far as design trends I hope are on their way out the door is word art, like where everything was the like live, laugh, love vibe, or like cafe or laundry room, or like, we had all this word art.
Gather.
Yes, gather. Thank you. Also, the arabesque, like Moroccan trellis we used it. We used it on a lot of things, pillows, fabrics, rugs, but like it has seen its heyday and it's time to move away from that.
Yes. And like when you bring up the arabesque, like that, if you're going to do things like that and go with a trend, like we would suggest going with a rug or pillows or things that could be easily swapped when the trend dies. But if for something like tile or flooring, that's a huge investment. So try to steer clear of that when you can, because we've seen that so many times where they're like, we paid all this money, 5-7 years ago. We're not ready to update it, even though we want to.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. I also think it's interesting because trends at some point, I think, have a point where they quit being fun and trendy, and it starts feeling like pressure, like you have to have this stuff. And maybe not even in the things that we've just talked about, but like in other trends. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And you can always kind of tell when a trend has reached like saturation because every single place has it, or every girl's, all these things. And so if you look around just in life and you start to see something everywhere, that would be your signal not to get it or to invest in it, because that means it's on its way out. So the thought there.
I think we might be there with like the neon signs. Like, I don't think I'll walk into a sorority house now that doesn't have a neon sign. And they're fun and they're cute and they make like pretty pictures and all of the things. But like, I think once you reach saturation, everyone has one, then you blend with everybody else. You don't stand out.
Yeah.
And that makes me sad because I've enjoyed the neon signs and like the large scale we've done them in. But I agree. It's like, oh, okay. I think we've beaten that horse. It's time to move along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that college women today are navigating something that all of us didn't necessarily have to, me for sure, but like the constant visual comparison loop of like everywhere you turn, like you're looking at how other people are dressed or what their sorority houses look like. And you're looking at just all of the things that then you're comparing yourself to. And so do you think social media has changed what college women believe their life is supposed to look like?
Oh my God, yeah. In my previous life, working in Greek life, like my alpha gams would come to me and be like, oh, well, the chapter at University of Florida did this event, so now we have to do it. And it's like, actually, you are two very different chapters. You don't have to do the same exact things. Like, that makes them special. What makes you guys special? And like, sure, something, like, it's always good to get ideas from other places, but like, you can't just copy. You need to think about what makes your chapter special, what makes your particular sisterhood special, and like lean into that.
And I think it makes them sort of lose that individuality to where it used to be you could go across campus and see completely different things at each, even just within one university, they're all doing it. But now they are each seeing what the other ones are doing almost in real time. And so they're like, okay, the dance thing, we're going to pull this same dance and do it across, and I get it. It's a TikTok thing or whatever, but it's just, I feel like I personally would love to see it go back a little bit to not seeing so much online. So then you can kind of just live in the moment and not be so concerned with what are we wearing in this video? What are we looking like? Just actually having fun and dancing and singing together as a group and bonding instead of, what is this going to look like on social media?
Yeah, for sure.
I think you're seeing a lot of that already anyway, like with parents bringing back landlines and people in their homes creating analog rooms. And so it's like, okay, how long before maybe it hits, rush talk, and when do we pull back from that, or do we? It remains to be seen.
Yeah. Or how can it change and adapt to where it's, just a little bit different instead of just seeing the carbon copies of things over and over as you scroll through,
What about the pressure aesthetically to show up like in your dorm rooms, sorority rooms? We've talked about the recruitment side of things, but like social life leadership, like how has that changed and evolved over time from your perspectives?
I mean, just since I've been in school, which has been just over 10 years, it's been a huge shift. Like what we had in our dorm rooms is vastly different than even just the dorms themselves over the last 10 to 15 years have been hugely renovated, like nationwide, as we see. And for some reason, that was like the tipping point. Like it's really been like a sweeping thing. But yeah, now the pressure to have the nicest, room and things like that is just off the charts. And I think a lot of it's really fun and you want to make it unique and your own, but also you don't want to feel pressure. Again, if you're comparing yourself to somebody that's at a university that's at a totally different level and, they're getting amenities that you're not afforded and things like that. We used to not know, that wasn't right at our face. So we wouldn't know what was going on at the University of Alabama because we didn't go there, and so just those types of things that you kind of have to remind yourself. We're all living our own, unique truth and, to just stick within that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I was a freshman in college, my parents brought a big roll of carpet and my dad cut it out and people thought I was insane.
Love that.
And he's an angel. And now that's child's play. People are putting up wallpaper and just doing crazy things. And I think it's awesome if that's what you want to do. And that sets your heart on fire. But if it's not your thing, keep the main thing,
I appreciate that both of you said, if that's what you want and that works for you, yes. But it is still, the message out there is if you're not doing that somehow you're less than. And that's not true. And you just have to sort of work on how to block that noise. And what's funny, Caroline, is somebody, when I moved into my dorm, did the same thing. Their parents brought a big roll of carpet and the beds were built into the floor in this particular dorm. And so they cut everything around. And I was like, that's brilliant. I wish that we had done that because that carpet had been there since the 70s. So I was like, instead, I'm walking in my bare feet on it. But I digress. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just in general, I think people have to understand to take social media with a grain of salt, whatever they're seeing and how they digest it. They have to do it in a healthy way for them instead of making it a comparison trap.
Yeah, that's true. And I also think that this generation that's currently in college, I think is the first that has grown up with it truly and been so inundated with a phone in their hand or an iPad since, they're 5, 6, 7 years old. And I think the next generation coming up, hopefully there'll be a little bit of a shift because we're seeing the damage and the mental health issues that it's causing and all these things to where maybe the parents are pulling back a little bit and saying, actually, we're not going to do social media until you're a freshman in high school or things like that, where they're not getting it so early. So maybe that'll translate to once they get to college, it won't be so heavy, or it'll be not cool anymore. Who uses Instagram 10 years from now? Just like Facebook or MySpace, it's all an evolution. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. What did you see when you were in college, Erica, and you were friends with women in sororities? Was there anything that you saw from your unique perspective about maybe pressure they were putting on themselves or even the benefits of being involved that you thought just an average student not involved maybe didn't have?
Yeah. As far as the benefits go, it was one of those things where I moved in and almost immediately regretted not going through recruitment because it was because I went in, and I felt like I had a good amount of friends, a few, and I just didn't feel a huge pull to it. But once I moved in and on my floor, all the girls that were able to move in, even just 1 week early and go through the recruitment process, whether they joined or didn't, they were able to meet so many people, make so many connections, have a social calendar lined out for their first 3 months of school or whatever it was. And that I was like, okay, that is priceless. I wished that I would have done that. So if I could talk, and I do, talking to anybody that I know, friends that have family members that are starting, if they're on the fence, I'm like, just go through recruitment. It doesn't mean that you absolutely, if it feels like it's not for you, it's not for you. But at least you can go in and just have that initial setup of meeting people because that is huge when you're entering college, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I fully agree. And Caroline, you alluded to this a little bit earlier, but for those that don't know, before you came to PDR, you were working at Eastern Kentucky University in Greek life, technically?
Yep.
Was that the office? Okay, yeah.
Also Greek life.
When you were in college, you were a, member of Tri Delta, and then you got out and you were working with Greek life on this other campus. And so I'm curious what you maybe saw between the two experiences and what you learned being, a college student going through it versus being the adult that was leading it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think Greek life, it of course has its challenges. It is imperfect. Nothing is perfect, but it creates confident young women who are well-spoken, who are involved, and who have great friendships. It gives you responsibility. And I was in a sorority. I was on Panhell. I was a recruitment. We call them Rho Gamma. I took the gals through recruitment, and I worked in Greek life. So I have seen every single side of it, and I just am so passionate about it. It made me a better person. My mom was in a sorority. Her sorority sisters became my best friend's moms. They all had children at the same time, moved home together, and I've just had this really beautiful opportunity to see their sisterhood flourish and see my personal sisterhood with my sorority sisters flourish. And I just, all the way around, I think it creates confident, responsible young ladies. And it's good stuff.
Yeah, I agree, which kind of leads me to the next topic, which is leadership, because I talk about this a lot on the show, is the leaders that we're creating within the next generation and just all of the beneficial leadership skills that you get from Greek life, whether you realize that is what you're fine-tuning or not. And so for both of you, my question is, what's a leadership lesson that you learned in college? Maybe you realized it at the time, or maybe you didn't, but now you definitely recognize it was a leadership lesson that you learned.
One thing with me, I would say, is about the group projects. I know it seems so funny, but throughout college, anytime a professor would say, okay, here's the group project assignment, that would come up, and it just immediately got to me. I had so many issues with it because there was always one or two people in the group that would just drop the ball. And so I would go into it with that mindset of I'm just going to do this project, and I'm going to give them little things to do, but I'm going to take charge and I'm just going to do it. And to me, I was thinking that's a leadership role. That's what I'm doing. But I wasn't at all. We weren't working as a group. I didn't learn how to truly delegate that way. So I feel looking back, that was a lesson I learned from doing it the incorrect way, that you can't just steamroll your way through. You have to actually work with people and learn how to collaborate and let a little bit of the control go too, because I was so much more concerned with the end product and the grade than I was the experience, which is the whole point of these projects. They're trying to teach you how to work within a group and completely different backgrounds, completely different skill sets. And so that was one huge thing is kind of a lesson learned because of it going poorly, I would say.
Well, I think that's a good one. And yeah, I do think that when we're younger, we believe a leader is, just doing it, taking charge. And the delegation piece is very vital. I mean, as someone who had to learn that with the business, is there's no point in having people that you're working with if you can't delegate to them and trust them and let them own their role. So that's a good point. What about you, C?
Mine is so similar. I think it was junior year of college, I volunteered to do costumes for Campus Sing, and I did not know what the heck I was doing. The costumes were bad. It was just, I did a bad job.
You had to sew costumes?
I thought we'd all have matching t-shirts, and then I would cut out different vests for the different part. It was really cute in my head, not cute in execution. I needed help, and I wanted to do it all myself so I could say that I owned it and I did it, and wow, look what a great job I did. And I did bad because I didn't ask for help and I should have. And so I learned then, and it's a constant struggle. I'm not a good delegator, but because I know that I'm not good at delegation, I try hard to become good at it. And so I think back to it a lot, and I cringe.
Cringe a little bit.
Yeah.
That's funny, though. That's a funny story. And I'm imagining the worst, colorful vest that I can right now.
It was not good.
Well, so you've both talked about delegation being something that makes a leader great. Is there any other characteristic that stands out to you that, like, whether it's been students that we've worked with on projects or like experiences that you've just had through college and beyond, that you're like, oh, this is another key thing for a leader to have?
Being prompt. Like, if you email me back, if you text me back, if I call you, you don't answer, you call me right back, I'm like, oh, this person's on top of it and this matters to them. And like that, just, it communicates that you've got it together in like a very just easy way.
I agree. That's a good one. I think decisiveness is huge. That's one that like really jumps out to me when someone just, it doesn't mean rushing to a decision, but like giving it the thought that it deserves, making a choice and being confident with it, and then moving on to something else. Because waffling back and forth, especially like if you're in a leadership role, you're kind of telling the people that are with you that you're not really sure. And so kind of, if you can be confident and have, that decisiveness, then I think that will take you so far in so many aspects of life, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think there's a balance between like when you're making the decision, sometimes it's helpful to talk to your folks, like the team around you, and get some feedback. But yes, like once the decision is done, it's like, let your yes be yes, let your no be no, like move on. Like it's time to move on to something else.
Yeah. And trusting your gut. Obviously that goes with trusting your gut and just being confident. It all goes back to confidence, I feel like, really.
When you said be prompt, Caroline, I like threw my hands up because yes, but I was thinking of like punctual too. Like I hate it when people are late, or if you're going to be late, then just send a little note, right? Send a text or call. Like this is what's happening, but just the ghosting and lack of communication. Like you want to send me over the edge, show up late, don't talk about it. And I'm just going to die.
Oh yeah. Similar vein, like being able to admit when you're wrong, admit, oh, I'm running late. Let her know.
Yeah.
Or like, oop, I don't know, I made a mistake. Let me own it and then fix it in a prompt and timely manner. Like, you've got a fan in me.
Yes, I agree with that. And I don't know if like somewhere along the way that we teach students like they're not supposed to acknowledge wrongdoing, or like if they're just internally scared they're going to get in trouble. But it really does go a long way when somebody's like, like I messed up. I'm sorry. Like I recognize what happened here. This is what's going on. Like there's a way to explain without giving excuses and then own it. And then everybody in the situation feels better about going on. Yeah, it really does. Okay, so still on the topic of leadership, I'm curious, like, what's a confidence green flag that you love seeing in chapter leaders that we're working with, like when we have a chance to talk with students?
I think, like, whenever it's like if I'm like going on, and I was just on 2 site visits, so this is top of mind, but if I'm like being shown through a sorority house and that chapter leader can tell me this is how we use this space, this is what we don't like they just like have great answers, have clearly thought about this beforehand, like this is their first time in their living room, they know what they want. I'm like, oh gosh, yeah, she's on top of it.
That's a good one. Also, eye contact is a really simple one where I feel like, and I think that just this generation too, where it's like always on the phone, and obviously I'm speaking as if I'm not, and I'm on it all the time, but I think that just truly this specific, like at 18, 21-year-olds right now, it's like hard for them to like hold a conversation or hold focus without glancing to the phone within, like, that's just what I've noticed in general. So I feel like eye contact goes a long way when you're meeting somebody the first time, for sure. But just in general, when someone's having a conversation, like, try to just stay with them while you're communicating.
Yeah, I agree. I always compliment like friends' children when they look me in the eye. They're not usually college age, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so impressive. They look an adult. And to your point, because I am on a computer or a phone most of the time, I'm not always looking somebody in the eye in conversations. When it's time, sometimes it feels uncomfortable now. And I'm like, ooh, it's like I need like immersion therapy here and like make myself sit and look someone in the eye, not in a creepy way, but like, don't break it, Liz. Like, show them that you're listening, even though it feels weird.
Yes, active listening. I think there should be a whole course, honestly, in college or like an elective or something on active listening, and just communication in general. Like, is so huge. No matter what profession you're in, it goes throughout everything. All of your relationships. So much of this translates throughout everything. So it's huge.
Absolutely.
Okay, at the risk of making social media the bad guy, it really has shortened our attention spans. And there's studies that talk about now our attention span is shorter than that of a goldfish, which is like 8 seconds or something. And so you think about that. And so like the active listening part of things is so important because we've got to like retrain our brains and like get back into the habit of listening for longer, because most conversations aren't 8 seconds.
Yeah, no, it's so true. We've got to get back on track. I feel like we've all just gone off the rails a little bit here ever since COVID, honestly. That's when I first downloaded TikTok, and I wish I never did. And I was like, okay, I'll get rid of that. And then now I'm on Reels and it's the same. And it's too much. Like, we've got to get back somehow.
Oh, yeah. I've been forcing myself to like watch an entire episode of TV without looking at my phone.
Which is hard.
Which is crazy. Yeah, it's so hard, and it shouldn't be. How silly.
What's funny, though, is I watched an interview, I think it was like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck recently, and they talked about how movies have changed and how like Netflix executives were telling them for a movie that they were putting out, like, you have to reinforce the plot like every so often, and you have to realize that they're going to be watching and listening to the show while they're scrolling their phones. And so there's just a certain way that things go now that are different. And if you don't capture people's attention within the first, I can't remember how long, then you've lost them. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so true. Like, this is not good.
It is so true. And it makes me feel bad. I'm like, okay, like that's what seems ridiculous, but also necessary, which is great.
Well, the first way to fix a problem is to admit you have one.
Yes.
So we've all admitted we have a problem.
Well, let's see if we can do it. I like my grandma reading, I'll call it. Like, I still love getting the paper magazines and the physical books. And so I'm trying to do more of that than like have so much screen time, because I'm spending so much time on the computer for work. I just hate like having my face always in a screen after work too.
Couldn't agree more.
Mm-hmm. I've started doing that on plane rides. I will like at the airport go buy a magazine and just like I will read the article even if I'm not interested, just to like force myself to do something. I used to read like 17 magazine all the time, even if it was irrelevant to me. But like, I want to get back to that.
Or about how to take your outfits from day to night.
Precisely. I've never run into that problem, but if I do, I will be ready.
Never, not once. No.
Okay. But speaking of 17 magazine, I want to talk about like our college style and vibe for a second, because we're all different ages, went different places. Like, how would you describe your college style in like 3 words?
You go first, Caroline.
Oh, she threw you under the bus.
I'm like, I don't know.
Patterns, color, chevron.
Okay.
Big on the chevron in my freshman dorm room. I think the children still do this. We like made our own headboards for our dorm bed, and it was purple chevron. And it was aggressive, and we had matching curtains. And it was like, for 2013, it was precious. We got 2nd place in the dorm decorating competition. We should have been first. That's a horse my best friend and I still love to beat, because we should have won.
That's funny that they had a competition too. I don't know if they still do that.
Oh yeah, it was like a social, like we all posted on Facebook, and whoever got the most likes, you know.
That's funny. So you kind of spoke more to like was that like fashion style too, or just like home decor style?
I think both.
Okay.
Yeah, mixture of both.
What about you, E?
I think mine, like fashion-wise, was uncomfortable, number one, looking back. Trendy, for sure. And, like, just unrealistic. Like, I would literally wear, like, a mini skirt and a tank top and, like, maybe a light little something on top in the dead of winter, and heels, and not think twice about it. I'm like, that's what you wear. The goal was to look good, have a cute picture. There was no other thought that went into it. And now I do not care where I'm going. I have to be comfortable. I want it to be cute, but I want to also be comfortable. Like, I just can't. I don't understand how my brain at 18, 19, 20 was so different than it is now, honestly. It's crazy.
Yeah. That's a good point. I think of all those memes that you see that's like, this cannot be the same weather that I used to wear, like a tiny dress in and go out, because you're right. That's what you did. We were talking about this, just some friends and I, the other day when it was snowing over the weekend. And I was like, I would walk around UK's campus without a coat on. Or if I had a coat on, I wouldn't zip it, because it was like, no, you're supposed to be able to see my outfit underneath. Ridiculous.
Exactly. It's really
unrealistic was a very good word for you to use.
Yes.
Yes.
I have trouble kind of narrowing it down. I would say bold on one hand because I love like bright pink. I painted my room in college when I lived off campus in bright pink and like feather dusted it with silver, you know, when like faux finishes were a thing. Mm-hmm. And like dark gray trim. I know it was a statement. So bold in that way. I think the unrealistic is a very good way to like summarize the poor choices and being cold or whatever. And then a lot of midriff, like a lot of like why everything was so short and the pants were so low. I don't know, but I'm glad it's over.
Yes.
That's I will never wear a low-waisted pant again.
No. Never.
I mean, never say never, right? I mean, if anyone's listening to this and thinking like these girls sound like they're 85 years old.
I know, like I make myself sound like I'm so. And honestly, I would have thoughts like that at the time too, like not necessarily with fashion. But I've always been like a little bit of an old soul where I'm like, how do these people do this? I just don't understand.
So then how has your personal style evolved since then?
I mean, I think I'm still colorful. I still love a pattern, both in like what I'm wearing. I mean, obviously from the top I have on and in how I design. Less chevron, pretty much no chevron.
I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, maybe like a grown up, like chevron has become herringbone.
Yes.
Oh, that's fair. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a grown up chevron.
Chevron and the arabesque, they live together now. They've gone off together.
Yes.
In the sunset. Yeah. I feel like mine has just changed, like I said, like into more realistic and comfort and, you know, cuteness and comfort are right there hand in hand, which I think kind of lends itself to the design as well. It should be equally as comfortable and livable and usable as it is gorgeous. Like just because something is beautiful, you need to feel like you can still sit on it and get comfy in it. You know, people should care about both things. And if they don't, they do within the first couple months of having it and wish they maybe would have made a different choice. So just learning, you know.
Connecting the dots, bringing it home.
Growth.
Yeah, I would say the same. Like comfort is paramount for me now, but it still has to be cute. And so instead of having like 10 new pieces that I feel like I need to go out and buy, I'm willing to buy less if they're going to hold up longer, look better. Like I've made that shift. Don't have to have something new for every event, which is kind of the antithesis of where social media tends to send us. But I think still bold. Like I still like a pop of leopard or a crazy color or a giant earring and, you know, a little something.
Yeah, same.
Do you guys feel more confident now?
Oh my God, yeah.
Definitely.
Same.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. I mean, whenever I'm feeling down, I think of how I got my current job and like the story of that. Go back and listen to my podcast, Just Me and Liz, if you want to hear. But
I love this. Y'all are like doing things and I'm like, yeah, you keep plugging that. Carry on. Finish your story.
But like if I'm feeling down, like, no, I like got this on my own merit and because I like wanted it and I chased it and then I kept it. And like, I think just like living life and like proving to myself that like, oh no, I can do hard things. And like, I know I have examples that I can tell myself of the hard things that I've done and like accomplished. And that just like, whenever I'm feeling down, I think about that and I'm like, no, I can do this. I did that. Gosh, I can figure out what kind of carpet to put in this basement. Like what a small hurdle, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's something that you think can look like confidence, but maybe isn't actually confidence?
I feel like feeling like you have to like lead so much that you're talking all the time. Like if you're in a group setting and you just don't stop talking because you feel like you have to. I feel like, again, back to the listening piece, like listening is everything. Making other people feel like they are being heard is so important, especially in our line of work, but also throughout relationships and everything. You know, you shouldn't be listening to yourself talk for one, but you should really be taking in what the other person is saying and not just waiting for your turn to talk, which I feel like people do a lot, and just seeing how can what I'm saying benefit this person? What can I say that will actually help them instead of just making sure they know that I'm important or I know what I'm talking about or things like that.
I fully agree with that. Like the over posturing really, you know, somebody thinks that it makes them look confident, but it shows quite the opposite.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes the quietest person in the room actually knows the most sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else, C?
No, that was exactly what I was going to say. I think if you're taking up all the air in the room, and some people are naturally that way, but a lot of times it just comes off as posturing. It's a smoke screen.
Yeah. Yeah. And there is a difference in, the posturing and just being an animated person. And like maybe you're telling the story or you're carrying the conversation for a second, but somebody who is a good leader knows when to kind of back off of that and bring other people in and make them feel welcome and a part of the conversation. And like you said, Erica, make them feel heard.
Yeah. And like leaving space for them to say what they want. Like they might be holding back a little bit and waiting for their turn, to say what they really feel. So I think leaving that room, like, it's just really important.
Absolutely.
If you could sit down with your college self for 5 minutes, what is something that you would tell her about confidence?
You know what you want, chase it. Like, it doesn't matter what, like, other people in your life are telling you should do. This, again, ties back to my episode. But, like, you know what you want and you have this talent. Just, like, chase it. The noise doesn't matter.
That's really good. I think, like trusting your gut. Like I would tell her, like, just follow your intuition. Like, if something feels wrong, then it is wrong. Get out of it. Like if something feels right, then keep doing more. Chase that, like you said, and just kind of not worry so much about what it's going to look like, what's going to happen if I fail. Just go for it and then learn from it and go on to the next thing.
Yeah, I agree with both of those. And kind of adjacent to that, I would say to my college self, you don't have to have it all figured out, right? Like you feel like you have to know everything and have to be ready to check all these boxes, but you're going to get 15, 20 years down the road and look back and realize how everything came full circle for you and you didn't have a clue. You just kept making the next step and the next right choice and look where it's brought you. And so I think all of our comments are kind of similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, so if you are in college right now, we hope that you're listening to this and hearing us say you are not behind and you do not have to be pressured to figure it all out because you are becoming you and you have a lot of time to grow into yourself at this point.
Absolutely.
Ladies, thanks for coming on and doing this with me. If people want to connect with you, how would you like them to do so?
You can follow me on Instagram, Erica Ross. I think that's all it is, Erica.Ross.
Yeah, same. Caroline Zinkel. I'm easy to find.
Awesome. You can also follow them on the PDR account or go to our website. Thanks, girls.
Thank you.
Bye.
Welcome to Liz's House Hot Takes. This is where I take the lessons I've learned over the last 16 years of designing Greek houses and offer you my pro tips. Here's today's house hot take. Summer isn't the only season for updates. Sure, summer is the dream time for big renovations, but smaller projects, they don't have to wait until May. Winter and spring breaks can be perfect for things like furniture installs, painting, lighting upgrades, or even recarpeting. And if your project is phased correctly, some updates can happen during the semester with minimal disruption. The key is to matching the project size to the downtime that you have available. Don't wait a whole year if you don't have to. Use every break wisely. Thanks for listening to another House Hot Take. For more inspiration, check out the PDR Interiors Instagram or TikTok. I'm Liz Alexander, and this is the Sorority Chat Podcast. Catch you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're listening on a podcast platform, make sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. And if you got something out of today's conversation, we'd love for you to leave us a 5-star review. It helps us reach more listeners just like you. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to check out this video right here or this one over here. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us out. I'm Liz Alexander, and this is the Sorority Chat Podcast. Catch you next time. This podcast is produced by Collier Landry for Don't Touch My Radio. Copyright Liz Alexander.